Aloha and welcome to our discussion.
Oh, I was Skyping my family and my little sister did that to me.
What's that?
It's a heart.
Oh wow, that's so cool. Okay, we should have started. Okay, sorry.
Not again.
It's okay, we love you.
Okay.
Even though we've never met you.
Well, we kind of met her in the introduction videos.
We've never actually seen her face to face.
That's fair.
I think. How would I know?
Alright, shall we
I don't remember what she looks like.
get started?
Yeah.
Alright, so our first question is what does it mean to be black in these poems and the short story?
That made me special. Different journalists.
Different.
But yep, you go. Sorry.
I was gonna say you go.
Oh, you go.
I thought it was interesting in the theme for English B,
Yeah.
how he made the comment about how like I don't know, the goal is just to write a paper, but his paper will be white, it won't be black like him, you know. And it's just like interesting to see the comments that he made. Like it's not that simple. He's different than everything else. But I liked in the end how it was different. Like the paper will be a part of the professor, and the professor will take the paper to be part of him.
Yeah.
So we're all parts of each other, I guess, but we're still different.
I could see that. I mean, it seems like every person you meet, they give a little piece of themselves to you. Even if you meet them for like 2 seconds.
I really like in that same poem how it says, as I learn from you, I guess you can learn from me. So it's kind of like kind of how along the lines of what you were kind of going off. Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool to hear that. I guess.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking up one of the poems.
Well, for me, I was thinking of like one word that I learned from my Pacific Island class today. It's called, the word is transculturation.
Transculturation.
It means like, especially in our school, like it's multicultural school, and every one of us comes with like different cultures. And I gotta like relate it to the color because basically it talks about the white and black. And that poem, like it doesn't matter like what color if it's black, but the things that like he likes is the same thing that a white kid would like to do.
Yeah.
Like he likes reading, he likes sleep, drink, be in love. It's the same thing. Like it doesn't define or like separate them from what they do. But going back to the word culture or transculturation, is like when you come with a culture and adopt another culture, but it doesn't mean that you're gonna change your culture. If that makes sense. Like you still be you, but you just learn things from other people around you.
That's cool.
So that's something I was like reading it and then I kind of like related to it, like
That's cool.
because that things like if everyone had that mindset that there's no like racism problem in the world.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at the other poem. Harlem, yes. It says nothing about Harlem. I never got it. But a dream deferred.
I like those 2 words too. Like that caught my attention a lot.
Dream deferred. Why would you do?
Like a dream put off, a
Yeah.
dream that you postpone or don't take advantage of. What happens to it? And I think that's like a pretty, I don't know, it's a pretty bold statement. It makes you think, what happens to the dreams that we don't accomplish or we kind of put off for another day? We'll say, oh, we'll do it tomorrow.
I mean,
What
I feel
happens
like
to those dreams?
sometimes it's good to do that because you don't have enough experience for your dream. but most of the time, I feel like it's not good. We should just jump on our dreams, have fun with it.
And I think I think that might have a lot to do with the title. It's talking about Harlem. Harlem is a place in New York where I looked it up, and so there's a lot of like jazz, soul food, African American heritage. Like it's a very important area. And I think that has a lot to say about this because a lot of people at this time they'd have to work all day every day to get enough money for their family, to feed their family. And so all of their dreams might be deferred because they don't have time. They have to work, they have to take care of their family, provide. And so I think that's where this sense could come in.
Because I looked up for the analysis and the summary of the poem because I couldn't understand.
Yeah.
It's just like small information, so I looked it up, and it basically talks about like the time of like the black when America divided the African Americans and the white
Kind of
Americans.
like that time.
Yeah, just like what you're saying, like this African American, they have the dream, just like the same dream with the white people, but the opportunity that they were given is limited, which makes their dream just like deferred. Whatever the word is.
It's hard to come true.
Yeah, it's hard to accomplish because like let's say they have like limited of resources, opportunities, time to do it. So
This poem could be like a theme of Harlem. All the people in Harlem feel this way.
Or you did.
Not pursuing dreams, or like what would happen if your dreams aren't pursued.
And I think that's also pretty cool
They're
because
survived.
like I don't know, Harlem is full of jazz. And jazz is some pretty deep music. Like you can really feel you can feel what the artist is feeling when you listen to jazz. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Harlem's an interesting place. It's a weird combination of old, like Alexander Hamilton, old, and new. Just back together in one. And then you have, it's Harlem. It's a very scary city.
Aloha. It is 9 p.m. and the library policy said after 9 p.m. the library toilet would be used for
I think
students.
that I'll take
If you
you.
are noticing my
Answer the first one.
it is not necessary. But how do you
Second question: what is Black experiencing?
Does that mean here, or
In
the so like
Right.
Yeah.
I was talking about the
I think we covered the poems
Yeah,
pretty
we
well.
covered
the
But what did
poems.
you guys think about brownies from the textbook? It's,
Sad.
yeah, that's
Right.
a bit.
Carol.
I think-
Girls.
But the city girls, brownies.
well,
They're under what, 12? I think.
I was never a Girl Scout or I don't know.
I was a Boy Scout.
I think it's really interesting though because all of these girls are raised in an area that's all black, and I think at the time that this story was written, there's a lot of tension. Yeah, there's a lot of discrimination. I know. So that was just being. There's a lot of my sticker's nose is feeling that's why. There's a lot of like I don't know. There's a lot of tension, and I think it's interesting to see how these girls picked up on it, and they noticed a situation where they weren't the minority, and it's interesting to see how they behaved, and when a group that's been so harassed or so abused is put into power, it's interesting to see
Do conflict.
like what happens. But I also liked, I don't know, I liked how, I don't know, I liked it. It was sad, but it made me think a lot.
You can kind of see the difference in how they act as individuals as well, like how they all have their own little ways. Like there's one girl who's like, not really kind of into that, and another one was like all for it, you know, all that like the bullying side of things. Yeah, no, I kind of saw that as well.
What do you guys think?
I mean, it's when she's talking about the only white kid, Dennis, and he got into the Caucasian act. Started yelling, that was so Caucasian. I think it's interesting that he would. I mean, he might just not know what it meant, but that he would get on the bandwagon and do it as well. I feel like a lot of the world's like that right now. People are just jumping on stuff and having fun. But, I don't know. I don't think it's right. That's me. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we're obviously different. We're a unusual and peculiar people.
Yeah, so simple just means that it's just
I mean, I guess maybe we jumped on a bandwagon. Church.
I think it's interesting just because, like, it shows how overuse of a term just takes away the meaning of it. Like,
Yeah.
like a silly example, me and my friends, we watched a film and the director, like, we didn't like the director, and so whenever we'd, like, trip or fall or something bad would happen, we'd be like, junk and domes. like it's that dumb, but, like, I don't know, it takes away the total meaning of this guy's name and turns it into something different.
Well,
Caucasian.
that's
It's not just a race, it's something that they say, like.
Well, it's not a race at all. It's a pigment of skin. We're all the same race, the human race.
That's true. That's what we learned in the other reading.
I think it's just the way people were brought up in their own society. Because I was thinking of this word Caucasian, like to the white, I don't care what it's like more offensive word it's said to other people. But to the black, it's a funny vocabulary to them.
Yeah.
And to me, like honestly, I don't know how funny it is, but it's their culture and the way they were brought up by. It just make it more difficult for other people to see it that way.
That kind of ties into the next question as well. In what ways does society shape what it means to be black? Kind of a little.
What doesn't mean to be black?
And I think like this time where these poems were written is like when racism was happening in America.
Yeah.
So like, just like what I say, like it was they just put labels, the word labels to people, and that makes them like the black hates the white and the white.
Segregation.
Yeah.
And it's, is that?
Segregation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting. I also think that when, I don't know, you can kind of see it, I feel like you can kind of see it at BYU too. Not like segregation or anything like that, but just like people are really proud of their culture and they're really proud to be who they are and they're proud to come from where they come from. So they represent their country, they represent their culture, they represent where they're from. And I think that in a place where you're maybe you're the minority, it makes you want to be even more your country because you want to be represented and present. You don't want to be whitewashed or put aside.
I just looked it up. This was written in 2003.
Like I totally agree with you,
Yeah.
because we did an assignment for a social work class, and the teacher challenged us to go to the cafeteria and watch like how people sat there. And then every time I went there, like I look up like like a bunch of like someone they would like sit together and then Tongan they sit by themselves and then the mainlands they just like tend to sit by each other and just like you say like I feel like people feel more secure and more
Comfortable.
comfortable so they were like more comfortable in where they are that's why they don't open their minds to sit with Asian.
Pacific Islanders.
But yeah.
Okay, shall we answer the next question?
Sure.
That one was answered, right?
So the next one, in what ways do these writers respond to that and make a concept of identity for their speakers?
Did we get it? Want me to read it?
So how do they use how society plays into what it means to be Black to give the speakers an identity? To have the speakers show who they are, I guess.
Or what it means to be disabled. Because we got racism on one side here, and on the other side we have bigotry, if I'm not mistaken.
In the short, sorry.
Yeah, because there's the Girl Scout, there's the main character in her group that they're obviously Black, but the group that they're going after, they're all disabled. They don't know what they're doing.
The girls also don't know that until they get to the bathroom. And I think that's really interesting. Because how often do people jump into a situation and then they're there and they're caught up and they're like, oh crap, what did I do?
I think it's interesting that that's the first time they realize it. I mean, they're doing camp crafts with them, they're doing their firesides together. Why is it just barely noticed? Is it because on the first day somebody said something bad and from there they all just like, oh, they're horrible?
How often does that happen though? Like, I think that if I'm, I don't know, it's my first day in class and I go to sit down next to someone and they're like, no, I'm not gonna be anywhere near them for the rest of the class, you know, I'm gonna sit across on the other side of the room.
Yep.
I think it's natural for people to kind of close off and draw back against a conflict.
Against other people. Not necessarily a conflict either.
But that doesn't excuse their behavior. I kind of like to
Yeah,
play both sides and figure stuff out.
devil's advocate. And Catholics. That's where devil's advocate comes from.
I didn't know that.
I'll tell you more about where it comes from later.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was our last question. Do you have any extra insights or anything that we liked about it? Or disliked? That we covered? Or did we do that also?
Yeah.
We did
did that one.
did that one.
I think we did well.
Okay.
Good job, the team.
Let me tell you.
I did not like
Wednesday.
Cool.
Wednesday.